I'm going to start off just with a couple of slides so that I can introduce to you the new video functionality that we have in our Focus GroupMR tool. So today we're going to cover off a little bit about how the video focus group tool works and different use cases for it. A little overview of setting it up and moderating, and some of the team are in a focus group to help me show you how all of that works. A little bit of practical advice about how to use this kind of online qual and what the benefits and challenges of that approach are as well. So firstly, thinking about running online video focus groups is something that a lot more people are obviously looking at currently because of travel restrictions and the difficulty in getting to see people face to face. So we've seen a big rise in people thinking about innovating the way they do their qual research. And certainly it's a really good thing to consider in order to enrich the feedback and the relationships that you have with your customers and consumers when conducting the research. So video focus groups capture evidence in terms of seeing the consumers describe and use products and tell you about them in their own words, and enabling that ability to really observe the participants as they're describing and explaining to you their relationship with those products. Obviously, lots of us use online qual methods because the time constraints are taken away and we're able to go back and forth and moderating. But video focus groups are a really good approach if it is important that you can have that live interaction in the moment. In terms of a couple of initial tips from the work that we've done so far using these methods, we would recommend always thinking about pre and post work to your online video groups. That's beneficial in terms of the engagement that you get, so you know who's going to come to the group because they've taken part in your pre-work, but also in ensuring that you get the absolute best out of that video group whilst it's happening. Because we're all finding in our Zoom meetings and our regular business calls now that video calls do tire us out, and it's not quite the same as when you're in a face-to-face group and people take turns. So anything that you can capture before and you can capture after in order to just get the right insight in that video group is really worth thinking about. And finally, I'd say really think about the people that you want in those groups as well. So have a look at the pre-work that you've done and see who's really good at expressing themselves, see who's got a really interesting case study, see who will make a good participant for the investment you're making in that time to chat to them via video online. So I'm just going to go straight into having a look at the way we would set up and run those groups now. Okay, so here we are on the home page. which acts as a waiting room for the participants. Once a participant has logged in, I, as the moderator, can see that from my moderator view. And we access the live group from this page, and we can also take part in our pre-task. So using a short task like the one we have here enables us to ensure that the participants have logged in and know what to expect and know what they're doing, which is one of the tips that we would always give when you're running groups in a live setting like this, is make sure that all your participants feel comfortable and happy with what they're doing. So you can see here my pre-task is a range of questions that I've just posted to the individuals. So I've asked my participants to take a look at the Mexican menu we'll be discussing. I've asked them to make sure they're happy and confident sharing their camera. And I've asked them to do a little projective task and tell me about Mexican food with a persona there as well. So I can look at my responses, and I can go back to each of my participants and drop them an email from this page as well, and get a bit more detail ahead of the groups. And I can be really well informed about who these people are before we go ahead with that live group. Now, on this login, if I enter the group, I am a client observer, or what might be a stakeholder observer. So this is the view that any of your wider team will see. And you can see we have participants ready, waiting to go in our video room here. And I can send messages in the little chat window down here to the host. And just like you would behind the glass in a face-to-face group, we can chat behind the scenes and feed into the group any extra questions or information that helps that conversation develop. So you can see we've got the video stream from my participants and myself here. I'm afraid I'm treating my participants just like you guys, and I've got them all on mute so that we don't get too much feedback on that at the moment. But when the moderator also shows polls and different stimulus to the participants, I can see what they're looking at in here and chat back and forth with my colleagues. I'm just going to go over onto my Google browser now to show you that experience of being the moderator. What I've done now is just switched to the moderator view because this is the page for the person who's running the groups, and you can see that I have extra controls in how I manage and engage with my participants. So look at my happy, engaged participants. Give me a wave. I've had them waiting there for too long while we set this up. And basically you can see all four of them in the stream here. So it's not like face-to-face in that there's a natural turn taking. So you have to be quite descriptive and instructive in terms of asking your questions and getting everybody to respond while we're here chatting. We're showing the video group, so that's that's up to 4 people, and that's very much about you being able to build a rapport and get a good conversation going with that many people together. But there is still the chat option, which you can talk to slightly larger groups within. So I can show my different stimulus in the bottom here. And we've got some images uploaded, but you can also put videos and pictures and things in there and to test out and show. And then we can also get our participants to vote on polls during the conversation as well. So I can just show a quick poll by clicking in here and get my participants to cast their votes. And I can see who has voted, and then hide that vote, and I can show the results back. So I can show them because it's useful for my stakeholders, but I can also show the results back to help stimulate a bit further conversation with my group while that's happening as well. So the other nice thing that you can do is you can see all the different members of my group here, and you can see who they are by hovering over and seeing the information we have on them in the database. So that can help with the moderation in terms of understanding a bit more context of all of those participants. I can also control here whether they can start taking part and are on public, or whether they're just talking to me individually with private single, and everybody is muted by default at the beginning so that we can start the conversation and chat together. So once the group closes, it just takes a few minutes and the video's there ready to look at, and also any output in terms of the copies of the chats you've had and the polls is also available as soon as the group finishes as well. So I am going to leave the group for now and head back to those last tips and an overview. And if anybody has any questions that they want to put in the chat, or if you want me to unmute you at this point, I'd be happy to do so, and we can have a chat through that as well. So in brief overview, our focus group video tool supports up to 4 participants taking part live, or up to 12 in the text chat. Stakeholders and decision makers can watch from that virtual observation room, which includes the ability to have a private chat. And the tool supports uploading of topic guides and visual stimulus and exercises, and the recordings and transcripts are all available at one click at the end of your groups. So some of the key challenges around running groups like this would be that they are quite intense for the moderator and the participants. You tend to be attempting to process all the different faces in there all of the time. So it's not exactly the same as face-to-face, and it's good to use it complemented with other tools and techniques so that you can capture that rich video on the key moments where it matters. Obviously, just the same as with the video calls that we're all having for business, you have to be aware that there might be more distractions in the home. Sometimes you can learn more from that, but that does mean you need to be a bit more accommodating of everything else that's happening in your participants' lives. And you need to think through the analysis and the output, what you're going to get out of it, because you can easily generate large volumes of video that you need to sift through or analyze with your different methods. And it's important to try to protect that real value in the video focus groups, so that nobody's time is used unnecessarily on tasks that aren't delivering that value for you and your clients. I've got a couple of questions. The first one is, does the text chat, is the text chat essentially the ChatMR we've used before? And yes, it is. What we have done is we have built in video capability to the live chat tool that we had before, and that is what has now given the ability to run chat or video all within that same functionality. Another question about, can we support simultaneous translation? So we do support simultaneous translation with our international moderators, and that is often done in that sidebar, that text chat window, so that it can be translated into either back into English or into other languages for your international teams as well. A question about having a raise hand option for the participants for better moderation. So in the video group option, the controls are with the moderator in terms of muting or unmuting the audio for people to take turns. So the participants can send a private message by way of raising their hand if they have a separate point to raise on that as well. And another question is for the absolute system maximum for the video. And it is a deliberate maximum in terms of number of participants that you can have in those groups, which is basically to protect the rapport that you're building with the people in that discussion. So you can use the tool for direct one-to-one interviewing, or with those groups of up to 4 in order for you to capture that rich detail and be able to really get the best value out of the groups. You can add and remove people from the discussion. So if you do get a change of participants, you can do that very easily. If you need to swap one person out and put another one in, but the live video stream is built for those 4 people. A question also, can you share video content or just imagery? And yes, you can load a video into the stimuli box, or you can put it on a video streaming channel and pop the link in there, and it will embed into the page and it will show that way as well. And another question around, can the viewer interact directly with the respondents? So yes, they can. We can delegate an observer to have moderation rights within the main window as well. It's just a matter of how we create the logins and how we set those different people up. And one more question about the interactive whiteboard option for participants to comment. So we have the smart boards, which you can use the smart boards within a live chat. So if you want to spend some time marking up a specific image, you can do that in the chat option. But currently it's not integrated with the video. So we would put the smartboard currently as a pre or a post task for those specific groups. One question about how long should the groups be, which is a really good point. Thank you for sharing. Our recommendation is the groups would be about 60 minutes long. Some topics you might be able to take up to sort of 90 minutes, but we do find that in terms of that engagement and interaction, that it's better to do 60 minutes and then you can keep everyone engaged and interacting. If you do the longer groups, it might be wise to sort of split the content, or even, you know, if you plan a 90-minute group, you do need to think about making sure you can allow comfort breaks and things if needed when you're having that quite intense video interaction. Another question, thank you, about handling recruitment and scheduling of the groups. And basically, in terms of what we offer at FlexMR, you can get, we can take care of the recruitment and the setup for you, or we can show you how to do it all in the system yourselves. It just depends what you're looking for on a project-by-project basis. So unless there are any more questions, I think we may have covered everything we were looking at today. I'll just double check. Yeah, I don't think there's any questions that I've missed, but I'll be very happy to answer further questions and have a chat with anyone afterwards too. And I want to thank you all for joining me today as well. It's been a pleasure talking you through our new tool that we've been really excited to make available to you all.